Back with Adrian Bohach from Enterprise for Good as we explore the whole world of social enterprise on Biz One-on-One. And social enterprise is not nonprofit, it's not for-profit, it's this different animal. But we promise to share with our viewers what are the three things that nonprofits are addicted to.
Well, we're organized as a nonprofit charity. That's who we are, but operating in a social enterprise way. So we've really moved ourselves away from the charitable space. But the three addictions are simply this: money, attention, and self-preservation. So a substantial amount, some people might argue too much, of the resources of a typical nonprofit, whether they have charitable status or not, are expended towards getting money, attention, and self-preservation.
And none of those three addictions have anything, they're not directly related to whatever the cause is.
Exactly. So people's employees' employment status is constantly at risk. It's dependent on the success or failure of the next grant or golf tournament or black tie dinner or whatever it is. So they're constantly going from one pillar to post. But just imagine if you ran your own personal financial affairs or the affairs of any for-profit company where you had to beg for your money.
Right.
And it was tenable, like you were never sure, you could never plan. And that's one of the things that we can do. We can plan decades down the road if we wanted to, and we do, that and actually, as part of that planning, look at solving problems.
So let's explore one specific example that I'm familiar with because I'm working with you on this, and that is you're getting into the retirement home business.
Sure.
As a charity. So just run through how that works quickly, and so you can, because I think this is a perfect illustration of what we're talking about.
So the way we acquire them is through a combination of debt and using a charitable receipt as a down payment, so that it doesn't drain any cash out of us for programming.
So the seller of the retirement home business grabs a charitable receipt and uses that in lieu of cash for a down payment, and you finance the whole thing through a bank.
Exactly.
So that's step one of being a creative way that a charity isn't gonna. They're not gonna think that way.
They're not going to think that way. It's a simple concept, as I love to say. An untrained monkey can understand the concept, but it's very difficult to do because you have to. Lenders look at you, like because you're a charity, and what do you know about retirement and all of that sort of stuff. So you have to demonstrate some bona fides to make it work. But once we have the property, then we can apply social enterprise thinking, like I'd mentioned previously. So how do you imbue your mission into the guts of the operation? So if you think of a typical retirement place, it has a dining room, it has a hair salon, it has maybe a pool, it maybe has some pool tables, it's got all kinds of amenities, a theater, what have you. Now, when you walk into a typical project like that, the dining room is used breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the rest of the time is sitting empty. But that real estate is paid for. Like that footprint is paid for. The hairdressing salon is sitting empty most of the time. The pool is sitting empty most of the time. So why couldn't you have a Boys and Girls Club come in and use the dining room for some of their programming? Why couldn't you have the hairdressing salon used for low-income women to tart themselves up before a job interview? Why couldn't you use the pool for special needs kids? Why couldn't you imbue a daycare center right inside the organization which would benefit? All of this stuff benefits the residents. So that's on the physical side of things. So this is, on the physical side of things, assets that are underutilized and are locked away from the community around it that we can monetize.
But why wouldn't a for-profit retirement home do the same thing?
They could. There's nothing stopping them. the issue for them is they don't think that way. They don't know how to do programs. They don't know how to do a mentorship program between a senior and a teenager, for example. They're not in that space, and they don't know how to run it like that. We do. So that's on the physical side, but more importantly on the people side of things, when you have a retirement project like my mom and dad live, you have a wealth of wisdom and experience, life experience, just there. It's like a big vein of gold in a bunch of gravel. I don't know what philosopher said that when an elderly person dies, it's like a major library in the world burns down.
Right.
So, and the number one issue with seniors is they're alone, they're lonely. So why can't we match a retired electrician with an apprentice in the community? Why couldn't we match a retired teacher with someone that's going to university to become a teacher? All of this is absolutely available to the community, that makes it a benefit to the people that live there. So all of a sudden, we have a facility in the community that is where the walls are permeable, where the assets, physical and intellectual, are being used, and at the same time it makes it the best place to live in that community. It becomes the go-to place that people want to go to.
And enterprise for good, because you're running it like a business and generating revenue instead of begging for money. It makes it all sustainable, and the profits that come out of there can be applied to your other ventures, for example, in helping autistic families. Wow. Adrian, we just scratched the surface, I know, because I've had many long conversations with you, but thank you so much for joining us today on Biz One-on-One. It's a real pleasure.